What's up everybody, it's Drew Wilkins with Swine and Bovine Barbecue, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make some absolutely delicious direct heat chopped pork with a picnic shoulder roast and some pork belly. Nice crunchy skin. Came out delicious. Also forgot to film this when making the actual video, so this is a day later, but the sandwiches are just as good. Skin's still crunchy a day later. So chopped pork sandwich. What we're going after here is something similar that you would get with whole hog. Obviously the chud box is not big enough to fit a whole hog, so we're improvising here. So we have a picnic shoulder roast, which here is a skin-on pork shoulder. So it's not a pork butt, it's a little different. It's got some different bones in it, and you'll see that when we pick the meat off of here. But it's skin on, which is important. We want the crunchy skin aspect that comes from a whole hog sandwich. And then we also have some skin on pork belly. I get this at the Costco Business Center here in Dallas. That's the only place I've been able to find skin on pork belly. But skin on is important, as I said. That way we can get that crunchy aspect instead of just your traditional shredded or chopped pork butt sandwich. So there's nothing to trim here. We're gonna leave this exactly as it is. So the pork belly is gonna go back in the fridge. It's gonna take a lot less time to cook than this picnic roast. And sticking with traditional whole hog style cooking, we're not gonna season our meat till afterwards. It's a little different, not seasoning before you put your meat on the pit, but that's the way we're gonna go about it. We're trying to stick to a traditional whole hog-esque style meal, even though we're not cooking a whole hog. The goal is to produce a sandwich that's similar in result of some chopped whole hog. So this is gonna hit the pit unseasoned. Let's go put it on. Our pit is cruising along 250, 275-ish, which is exactly where we want it. So we're gonna go ahead and place this picnic roast right in the center. To protect this skin during the cooking process, we're gonna go on with just some good old Morton's table salt. You see this all the time in the whole hog cooking process. They'll come over and put an ample amount of salt on top of the skin. This will protect the skin from getting all nasty during the cooking process. It's not gonna provide really any salt to the actual meat. You can moisten the skin prior to doing this to help the salt stick better, but it had some moisture from the cryovac, so I didn't do that. So just gonna provide a liberal amount of salt to this skin, and we'll cook. So we've got our skin protected, now it's time to let it cook. We're gonna let this go for the next several hours, get some nice color on the bottom, dry out the skin up top. So shutting it down, letting it cook. So we're going traditional Carolina style sweet slaw to put on top of our sandwich. We have one whole head of cabbage here we're gonna slice up real fine. The dressing for our coleslaw, we're gonna start out with a healthy amount of sugar. And we're gonna go in with some mayonnaise, some Miracle Whip, and a little bit of mustard. Now I'm gonna mix it all up. Just gonna fold this dressing in. It's grainy right now because it's got a ton of sugar and not as much of the liquid components. But as it sits and, I don't know, marinate or whatever term you want to use, but as the dressing gets in on this cabbage, it'll become more liquid. By the end of it, we'll be able to do this and there'll be a pool of liquid on the bottom that is absolutely delicious and sweet. And we'll have a traditional Carolina style slaw to go on top of our chopped pork sandwiches. I take this, cover it in plastic wrap, put it in the fridge till we're ready to chop our pork up and eat it. 7 hours into our cook, and it's time to add the pork belly. There goes the salt. Our pork picnic roast is hovering around 170 degrees, so we're gonna slide it over a little bit here. And that was dumb because there goes the salt. That's all right. Salt's gone for now. It's done a good job of keeping it insulated. So no more salt for now. We're gonna add our pork belly in. Just gonna put our pork belly right next to it. Just like before, I'm gonna go on with a generous coating of salt. Now we're gonna shut this down. We'll probably let this picnic roast go for another hour or so till it hits 175-ish. Then we'll flip it over, start crisping up the skin. Hopefully we don't get too much nasty color on it from not being protected for the last hour or so. But this side broke off a decent amount earlier and the color is really not too much different. I'm not overly concerned about it. The salt's done a really good job drying it out already. Now it's gonna go to work on the pork belly, and we will be back when it's time to flip the picnic roast. An hour after adding our pork belly, This pork picnic roast, shoulder, whatever you want to call it, is up to about 177-ish degrees internally. Didn't get too much dirty color on this roast at all. So the salt not being there for the last hour didn't hurt it. We're gonna go ahead and flip this over and start crisping up this skin. See how this underside looks. Oh yeah. That is looking awesome. That is going to taste absolutely fantastic. We've got this flipped over. Some of this is a little crunchy and hard, so we want to hit it with a mop sauce. So let's go make one. Start off, we're going to go in with a healthy amount of apple cider vinegar and an equal amount of white vinegar. A generous amount of Texas Pete hot sauce, some crushed red pepper, some coarse black pepper, a little bit of chili powder, a healthy amount of sugar, and some sweet barbecue sauce. I'm using Allegro's Honey Barbecue for this. Now we're just going to heat this through, let that sugar dissolve, and our mop sauce is done. All right, time to mop. Simply enough, just take our mop sauce, put it on the meat. I'm going to come back and do this roughly every 15 minutes until our picnic shoulder is done. It has been a couple of hours since we put our pork belly on, so it's time to flip it. It's temping around 170, so we're gonna flip it, let this backside crisp up. Our pork shoulder roast is nearly done. It's tender in some spots, but around the bone it still needs a little time. It's got unreal color. This is mop sauce plus direct heat color, and it's beautiful looking. Let's go ahead and get this salt off of our pork belly. Did its job. We're gonna go ahead and flip it. But it's looking fantastic as well. We're gonna get the salt out of the way and start mopping it. Just like our shoulder, we're going to mop our belly. All right, so everything is looking fantastic, but this back side of the pork right here is not getting as tender as I'd like it to be. Over here, we're perfect. Throughout most of the pork we are, but right here, it's not where it needs to be from a tenderness perspective. So we're gonna flip it over. I don't wanna have the skin side down too long. Oh, that's feeling good. And let it cook this way for a while. A little bit of a risk because we put a lot of sugar in our mop sauce, so I don't wanna burn it, but this skin is feeling great. Got a little dark in some areas. Tell where the mop sauce came around on it, not a big deal. But we're just gonna let it cook for a little bit, and ideally, we'll be able to get this little nugget right here a little more tender, but didn't want to risk getting the skin too done on this side, so that's why I flipped it. But keep mopping the pork belly, let this go for a while, see how it turns out. All right, so a quick update. We flipped the pork belly back over to the flesh, not skin side, because I wasn't happy with the color, but that's looking a lot better now. And our little problem child right here still isn't getting much better from a tenderness perspective. So we're gonna flip this back over. Oh boy. We have some good looking bits on this underside now. We are 12 hours into this cook, which is a lot longer than I thought it was gonna be, but this pork butt is done. We're feeling pretty tender throughout. This is still giving me a little bit of resistance, but we're at some pretty solid temps. 195 is kind of where I wanted it to be. We're almost there. We're gonna get some carryover, but everywhere else, super, super tender. So I think when we chop everything up, including with this pork belly, we're gonna be good. So I'm gonna pull this, but I'm gonna let the pork belly continue to cook. I'm actually gonna flip it over again. This little portion right here is taking a little longer to get tender than I thought it would. But ideally, by the time this cools down, this will have gotten a temperature. Pull it off, we'll cool it, and all will be well. But hey, winging it a little bit at this point, so we'll see how it goes. Let's see how the underside of this looks. Oh yeah, that's gonna be good. All right, way too long later, because I don't time things well. I think that's kind of been a theme on this channel. But our pork belly is done. Look at that underside. Gonna let this rest. It took a lot longer than I thought it would, but we are finally done cooking. Our pork belly is done. We've got some firm skin. We've got firm skin all over. So what we're gonna do is peel that skin off. This little bone off here. Save this skin over to the side. Do the same thing with the pork belly. Just pull the skin off. Some good skin. Let's get the rest of the bone out of this one. Pretty clean bone. So we've got ourselves a mess of pork. Let's get this skin out of the way because we want to save this hard, crunchy stuff for later. But let's chop this up. We're just gonna chop all this up. This pork tastes really good as is. I'm shocked considering the only thing we've done to it is mop it. There's no salt on the outside or anything, but it needs a little bit more flavor. I've got our mop sauce here. Not sure if you caught it when I was chopping up the beef, but I spilled it over the side. So gotta wash the deck off after this. I'm also gonna put a little more salt on it. We're just gonna go with the table salt. Chop it up a little more and we'll be good. For our sandwich, we're gonna want some nice, crunchy skin from our shoulder roast. Start this sandwich, we're going down with a perfectly toasted bun. Then we're gonna add a healthy helping of our chopped pork. Then we're gonna take some of this chopped pork skin, put it on top, drizzle a little of our sauce over, and last but not least, a little bit of our slaw. You can see cabbage plus the dressing we put on it made. Put a good little helping on top. The work is done, and this one took longer than I thought it would. I thought it would be about a 10-hour cook for the pork butt and about 4 hours for the pork belly. I was wrong. It is, I gotta turn my watch on because it's telling me I should be in bed. It is 11:23 right now when I'm eating this. So this cook plus the rest took 14 hours. So a lot longer than I thought it would, but I've sampled, tastes great. We got a nice toasted bun. We've got a little sauce on top of it, and we have our slaw to go with it. Let's see how it tastes. Cheers. That was incredible. If you've never had a pork sandwich with the crispiness of pork skin on top of it, when you bite into it, it's next level. I don't know how to describe it. It is unbelievably good. As soon as you bite into this sandwich and you get that crunchy skin, it's unbelievable. You can't replicate that with a normal pork butt because it doesn't have skin. I think the best way I can describe it, if you've never had it, is like having little pieces of bacon on top of your pork sandwich. And it's way better than bacon. You get the flavors from the sauce. This sauce is unreal. You gotta give it a shot. But the sauce, plus that super sweet slaw, the sweetness of the slaw really adds a ton to the sandwich. So you get the crunchiness, not only of the skin from all this pork that we spent hours upon longer hours than we thought we would spend cooking, but you also get it from the slaw. The slaw's got a nice little crunchiness to it. What's shockingly surprising is I love salt. Like, I almost over salt things at times, but this is perfect just as it is, with a little bit of salt sprinkled over top and then the mop sauce. I can without question say this is the best pork sandwich, chopped, pulled, however you want to have it, that I've ever made. So give this a shot. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, please hit that subscribe button. It helps out a ton. If you have any ideas on what you want to see me cook next, leave it in the comments below. And if you cook anything I make on my channel, feel free to tag me on Instagram. My handle is @Swine BBQ. But thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. The light says we're done, so we're done. And we got people racing. Perfect send-off. I hope you won. Bye.